Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Snap Decisions. I am your Snap DJ, the host with the most, and I am blessed with another awesome guest tonight. I have Ree with me. Ree, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you can be on tonight. Thank you so much for joining me and taking time out of it. I know you've got that late night thing that you do, and you're streaming. So thank you for taking some time to come and chat with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure. This is the first podcast guesting I've really done in a very long time.
That's even better. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you for making me that person you came on to talk to. I really love that. Thank you so much. First of all, I want to start with a couple things. You, I know, were mentioned in. I have to ask you about this because I thought this was really cool. You were mentioned in a list recently for what was it? Something with Marvel Snap. It was like 10 Marvel Snap creators or something like that. I'm trying to think of what this was that I found. I can't remember now, of course, because my memory is terrible. But you were mentioned on a list of 10 up and coming creators, I think maybe it was, or something like that.
Maybe one of my friends gave me a shout out. I don't know that I got a not sure what you're
that's awesome.
Typically referring to, but oh, that sounds special.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Somebody mentioned you in something somewhere. I'm like, oh, all right, that's cool. How long have you been doing stuff? Like, how long have you been doing your show?
Oh, streaming only about. How long has it been? A couple months now. I think I started. Wow, we're like at the beginning of April. Did I start in January? So yeah, I think around 2 months, maybe a little less. And I've been part of the Snap community, part of the Twitter community for like a little over a year.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
How long have you been playing Snap? Were you playing since beta?
Since public release.
Oh, okay.
So nice. Yeah, I'm a big comic reader, and so I've been a Marvel fan for a while. So I was excited. But I've also been a big card gamer for a really long time. So, I mean, it was something I was obviously going to try out, and I got immediately hooked. Pretty hard, like a lot of people did, right? The onboarding experience is so good in Marvel Snap.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun. I 100% agree. That's what got, well, I mean, obviously, like yourself, what hooked me into it too was the comic book part of it. I'm a big Marvel fan, and I'm watching all these movies and everything like that, and I have been ever since I was a kid. But you're right. The initial time playing it, like when you first started, it was so much fun going through and just opening all those new cards and all that kind of stuff. It was really a fun time. So yeah, I 100% agree. So so you said you have played other card games. So I got to talk to you a little bit about that because I come from a Magic background. I played a lot of Magic the Gathering back in like the 90s when it kind of first came out. Was going to some tournaments and stuff like that they would have in weekly things. So what other card games did you play prior to this?
Quite a few. So I will say this is the most in a card game I've ever gotten into the meta and into the external community. Usually it's just kind of me and my little circle of card gamer friends, meeting up to play, but Magic, obviously, I played. I played Magic. I stopped playing Magic because I was in a long-term relationship with someone where we happened to commingle our collections of Magic cards.
No!
And in the split, which it was amicable. It wasn't. We weren't lawyering it. I got the console and all the video games. They got all the Magic cards.
There you go. Okay.
And since then, I've been the last booster card game I played was Star Wars Destiny, and since then I was like, no more physical card game booster pack games for a while. But I've done a lot of the Fantasy Flight living card games. Pretty much all of them, like the new Legend of the Five Rings game that came out, the Game of Thrones game for a little bit that they did. I'm still playing the Marvel Champions game, which is a co-op. I've played Hearthstone in the past.
Yep.
I've played Phoenix Rise of the, what is it? Phoenix Rise of the Ashes, another physical card game. I've played, there's so many out there. I really haven't played them all, but I've played quite a few. I've always loved card games. I've always loved deck building.
Yep.
So and I've always been a memer. I've always been a bit of a memer. My dream in Magic the Gathering, my meme dream in Magic the Gathering that I never successfully achieved. Because here's the way my meme dreams work, is that they can't just be fun for me. They can't just be fun to play. They also have to be somewhat viable, right? I also have to be able to take them and win against meta decks. And that's not to say that they need to be a meta deck necessarily, but I need to be able to win with them. And I couldn't do it in Magic the Gathering. That's because my meme dream was to build a successful Island Walk deck. And I don't know if they put more cards in there to support it after I left, but I tried. I tried numerous times and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Maybe one day. Yeah, no, I see the way they're tempting, like, us MTG players. We're like, look, we have Lord of the Rings now, and we have Doctor Who, and here's cool steampunk stuff, and here's, like, all the cool theming you could ever want. And I'm like, no, Magic, we done. Our relationship is over.
We're done.
And with Snap now, I don't have room for multiple card games in my life. Just one. Kind of a monogamous card gamer right now. Except for Champions, but that's co-op. So, like, for me, co-op is a whole, it's not competitive, right? It's a whole different.
Yeah. Magic got, I'm right there with you. I got into, Magic first, but then there was like a whole influx of card games that came after that, collectible ones. Decipher back then, who got bought up by Wizards of the Coast, came out with a Star Wars game that I had a whole bunch of cards for. No one ever played it because it was so hard. The game was just entirely too hard to play. So I could never find anybody to play. There was even I'm a big sci-fi fan too, and I'm a big X-Files fan. There was an X-Files CCG game that came out back then. And I tried playing that, and the same thing. It just seemed like they tried a whole bunch of places, just tried to copy, off of what Magic was doing. I played a good amount of them too over the years. I did some Hearthstone, although not that much Hearthstone because at the time I was addicted to Warcraft. I was playing a lot of
I also have been addicted to Warcraft.
Yep, I played way more World of Warcraft than I probably should have. I was a lead tank in a group, and they needed me like so many days a week to do raids, and it was like, listen, I have work. I can't be making time to actually come and sit on these raids every single other day that you're doing it. But yeah, I got into a lot of that when I really shouldn't have. But yeah, it's great. I love it because everybody came from a different background, and it just, one of the things that drew me to Snap was just two things. One, because it wasn't something that I had to spend a fortune trying to collect everything, because I was a collector. So I'm spending, I'd buy, if a new set would come out for Magic, I'm buying a box right off the bat. And even back then they cost over $100 for a box of cards. So I'm doing that. And then, between the money I'm spending on that. So I was kind of glad that this was a digital game at first, and also just glad that it was very quick to play. Because unlike Magic, you go to a tournament, or if you're playing and stuff like that, you're there for hours, sometimes, the better part of a day. So I love that. I love hearing that you're a card gamer. So what drew you to Snap first? And I like to hear about this too, because for me, again, it was the fact that I just don't have the time to play as much as I used to. So for me, it was being casual player and being able to play the game quickly. So what first drew you to Marvel Snap? Was it the Marvel IP, the characters themselves, or just like because of the fact that it was a quicker game?
I mean, really all of it, right? Like, yes, I might have played. I'm like, okay, let me see. I think I knew. I wasn't like overly familiar with Ben Brode at that point, because I never got into the Hearthstone community the way I've gotten into the Snap community. It was just a game I played a lot. It was just a game I played a lot. But that was when I'm like, okay, one of the big lead designers from Hearthstone is behind it, so it's probably got some real juice, and it's Marvel. And it's like, if it had just been a lead Hearthstone designer and not an IP I really loved, I don't know if I've got into it. But once I started, it was just like, the idea, like with the locations, like the fast games, most of all, I can't go back, right?
Yep.
You try and go back to slow games and you're like, no. Like,
Yeah.
it even took me a while to just get into Conquest, really. Like, I do
Okay.
now, since I started streaming. Streaming is what fixed it for me. I
Yeah.
got into Conquest after I started streaming, but before that, I couldn't even get off ladder. I'm like, no, it's too long.
Yep.
So yeah, and then when I got the idea, I love the idea also of like you can only have one copy of the card in your deck. So I was gone from Magic before Elder Dragon Highlander became like the huge big thing. That's what my friends who still play Magic, that's the format. They keep trying to tempt me back in. They're like, we have all these free boxes of our like commons and uncommons you could have. I'm like, I've played Magic. I don't use garbage. Don't give me your recyclables. Magic cards. But I love that. Like just having the one card, having the 12 card decks, the combos you can pull. It's just so it really felt like a next evolution in card games. Yep. And we've both played a lot of card games, right? So and one of the last big ones that I was building decks for, I think was Legend of the Five Rings, because I think Destiny had already ended or was dying before that. And Legend of the Five Rings went the opposite of Snap. I don't know if you played it, the Fantasy Flight remake of Legend of the Five Rings.
I may have played a little bit of it because I remember the name. I remember what the packs and the stuff looked like. So I probably messed around with it a little bit. I don't remember it as much, but yeah, I'm almost positive I played it.
The aesthetic was so cool, right? Yeah. I love the 5 clans. Let me be a unicorn. Let me be, but they went the opposite of the way the Snap went. I mean, obviously physical, but like more complex, more chessy, more like pinning moves behind moves, that are gonna have consequences later. It's just like. And I saw it, and it was just like, this is. I knew when we were playing it, this isn't gonna last.
Yeah,
it's too complex. It's too game within a game.
Yep.
But like Snap, like I said, the opposite. Like it's like the way Blizzard before Blizzard got terrible. In some ways they always were and just hit it right, but like. I say this as someone who's a real Blizzard. That was my dream when I was a kid. I was like, I would grow up and work for Blizzard.
Oh my God.
That's my dream.
Oh my God.
I was a Warcraft 1, 2 junkie as a kid.
Yeah.
So Blizzard, what they were really good at though, right, was scoping the market for a genre, for like MOBAs, for card game, for anything for an MMO that they were going to build. They'd go out and do their research, and they'd pull in all the really good bits from everything, right, and polish them off and make them accessible. Most key of all, it was like to bring in the noobs, right? To bring in people and to not overwhelm them, which is so hard in so many games, right? So many games are iterations of previous games, right?
Yep.
And that you grew up with, right?
Yep.
So when you played the first shooter, you can't go back and play that because you're used to better controls now, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
But that was hard enough when the mechanic was new. So for a new gamer to step in to like a brand new, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And all games have suffered from that. So what Blizzard did really well, and they still relied on someone being a bit of a gamer, right, was to study all the current games, take the most fun aspects out of them, package them into one with some bright colors and some fun characters, right, and make it accessible. Yep. And this is what Snap has done. It has done that Blizzard has stopped being able to do. Blizzard became this old, it got too full of itself because it was the number one, right? It forgot that its strength was stealing from other people, which is all games, right? All games should steal the best mechanics
absolutely.
From all games. This isn't to say you shouldn't, but that's what they did well, and they forgot to keep looking outside themselves because they're like, well, we're number one, and they couldn't cannibalize themselves.
Yep.
The way that they stole from other company, or however you want to say it, that's not doesn't sound as terrible as that, because I think that's it's how you make good games. But they couldn't do that from within themselves, and they stopped looking outside. And now that's left room for other companies to come and do the same. And basically Ben Brode left Blizzard and did the Blizzard thing, which was to make Snap, to take all the best mechanics of things that you could pull from the digital card games that are out now, package them up, put them with some bright colors and characters that are fun, some exciting animations, and make it accessible to someone who has never played a card game before. Mm-hmm. That's what they did. I'm sorry I monologued for
No, hey, that's not 100%.
A lot of opinions about Blizzard.
Not at all. Yeah. Well, listen, I agree with a lot of it because, again, you were talking, you go back to, Warcraft 1 and 2, when they started with World of Warcraft, when they said, and even for me, like I've been a big Diablo fan. I love their Diablo games. Yep. Love the first one, love the second one, loved, even enjoyed the third one. But this last one, I got so excited for the new one. And I found myself, I'm like, hey, it wasn't great. Even though the graphics looked better and everything like that, I was like, it's not really very fun. It's probably the first Diablo game I didn't finish in all of them that came out. So yeah, in a way you're right. I want to go back to when you said you wanted to work for them, because that really resonated with me. I can remember, and I don't know if you've ever seen this. Look up someday the offices of where they work. There's two big ones, right? There's one in Houston, Texas, and there's one in San Diego. Look at the offices, or do a Google search and
the
look
statues
and
stuff. I've seen it.
Not even the outside, but the inside. Their offices look like houses. Yeah. I'm like, good Lord, they look like living rooms. They have a nice couch there. They have a nice. And then,
that's because of Gamer Crunch, though. That's because they're abusing the shit. I mean,
oh my God,
maybe not just Blizzard, but right. Like, have you read the what's his face? Like a game journalist. I think it's Jason Schreier, might be his name. Okay. He's written 2 books, like called one is Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, I believe, and the other one's called Press Reset, and it's all about the game industry and how it functions and all the crunch time problems and all the problems with making games. It's a mess of an industry.
Yeah, like they even have a movie theater in there. I'm like, damn, like that looks amazing. I was like,
it looks amazing, but the reason there is because they expect their employees to be there 24/7, not with their families. Yeah, you know what I mean? Not having free time. They want them there. They want them there all of the time. Yeah, so that's the way. It's the way when you have to travel for work. It sounds glamorous. Like I had to travel. I wanted to go fly out Monday and come back on, flying Thursday nights, and everyone's like, oh, and stay in a hotel. It sounds so glamorous. It's like, no, it's awful.
It's not. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. You don't think of it that way.
I don't mean to come in here and just shit. Like, you're like, oh, the Blizzard things are fun. I'm like, no, it's terrible, and you should feel bad. I'm sorry.
Oh God, I love it. Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, no, but you're right, and I think a lot of the reasons that's what drew me in too, because again, you're right. They took things from other games that they learned lessons from that maybe were getting a little on the boring side and things like that, and they, like you said, combined it all together, and then they added in where they make it for casual players, where it's not something you have to sit with for hours and hours and hours, or throw $200 down to buy a box of cards to be competitive, or sit at tournaments for 5 hours at a clip. It was different in that respect. So one question I got to ask you about Magic. What kind of deck did you play? I was a black discard player, and that's all I ever played. So over the years, I would just add cards to it that I would find. I was very stubborn with Magic. I did not change decks. I always played straight black. Now that was good and it was bad. If I came into like someone playing white or blue, I was usually dead. Just because of the cards they could use to stop the deck I played. But I was very, very set in my ways. So what kind of deck did you play in Magic?
Okay, I had 2 decks, actually. So I played a lot, kind of like I do with Snap, just all over the place. But I had 2 decks that I always kept together and changed over time. And one was a white, green, blue deck.
Love it. Okay.
Because I love buffing and healing and control. Yep. Like I do in Snap too. My problem with deck building is I want to fill my decks with so many tech cards that I have no power. It's always my problem in deck building. I love tech. I just want to improv with my cards off of what's happening. And so that was one deck that I always kept together and played. And the other deck was a red black. It was a red black
I
deck.
love that.
It was like the graveyard. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long, but it was like the graveyard cards.
The manipulation of the graveyard, so you bring stuff back.
Yeah, I loved the shit out. It was like destroying cards and like pulling them back out of your graveyard. And that one was like my favorite, I think. I forget what card it was that I built the whole thing based around, and then it was just one of my favorite decks forever.
Yep. That's
my friends are always like, okay, but don't play that deck this game. Can you play it?
I guess back in the day, you could look at what I played. It was almost kind of well, it wasn't milling because milling was usually done with blue and white, but I guess it was just it's hand destruction, but it's more. It's kind of a lockdown deck in a way because I played where you just make them discard their own cards, and then I played cards that penalize them for having a certain amount of cards less in their hand. One of my friends that played all the time too played with a land destruction deck. Obnoxious. They were horrible. You want to talk about just sitting there with a handful of cards and not being able to do a damn thing. And if you got mana screwed, which happens so many times, you're dead. If he starts blowing up your lands, you're just done. So yeah, that's awesome. You probably incorporated a lot of that stuff, and I could see that. You mentioned you love deck building. I could see that. Just from what just from what you're telling me so far, you probably incorporated a lot of that into Snap. I would imagine you must love Sarah Control. You've got to love Sarah Control, a deck like that, yeah.
I actually have not played much Sarah Control.
Okay.
Because it's like it's the memer in me. I don't like playing meta decks.
Just like meta decks. Yeah.
Especially if it's a deck I face all the time. Like I just got Thanos in his last spotlight for the first time. I've been playing since public release, and I've not had Thanos this entire time.
Okay.
And I played him for the first time like 2 nights ago. I was playing a Snap Variance deck. Thanos deck. And that's my first time ever playing Thanos. And part of it's just that like I've been playing against Thanos a lot, just like High Evo. It's like the decks that I face all the time. I don't want to play as much. But I play, so it's like, like there's my random bullshit Go deck. It's the, I should have asked about swearing before I just started saying stuff.
I saw your random deck. Hold on, let me see. I'm trying to think because I saw you posted that. Was it in the Discord? I think you put that.
So yeah, no, and it's gotten Regis just did a video on it. Yeah. So it's just full of a lot of time. So like Nico, like I love playing Nico's my favorite card, I would say probably right now that fits in a lot of decks.
Yep.
Because she's just a little toolbox of cards. I love Snowguard. I loved Legion before Snowguard. Because what I found about Snowguard is here's why I preferred Legion. It's like, well, Legion is the surprise. But here's the thing about Snowguard is everyone forgets you played Snowguard. You have Hawk and Bear in your hand.
You're right. Yeah,
so you can just totally throw it down in Central Park and clog them up with squirrels like on turn 5 or get rid of a limbo with Hawk that they just forgot you could do. Like people just fucking forget about that.
Absolutely. I've won some games. I think I was playing with Snowguard. Mostly, it's funny that card you mostly just see in Loki. But what I liked about the deck that Regis was playing was you made it was just completely random. You had Helicarrier, I think, in there, yeah. And so that card just fills up your hand with a whole bunch of new cards, and you're winning with a lot of those cards that you get. It's great because you're legit having fun with the decks that you make, which is it's a welcome thing because you don't see a lot of it. So many people are just right away they want to just go, they want to watch, and it's perfectly fine if you are you're watching the content creators, you're liking what you see that they're playing and you want to try it. 100% cool, do it. But I think a lot of people just miss the opportunity maybe to change a card here or there. and kind of make a deck their own in a way, and just play something that they're going to have fun playing. So I love that you do that. I think that's great. I think that's awesome. I love that you do it. Thanos. So I was I can tell you some things about Thanos. Thanos is obnoxious. It's so good. It's so good. But what did you think about it since you first got it?
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously it's funny because like I've been building around not having Thanos for so long.
Yeah.
Like, so when Mockingbird came out, I have a Mockingbird deck. And it's just like, I do all this work to get Mockingbird out, and Thanos is just like build it. It's like Thanos is just like easy mode for like all the deck building I've done elsewhere. It's just building because you have all those stones. It's like you don't need to throw in a snow guard. You don't need to throw in location control. You have reality stone. Like you don't. It's just like. It's like, it's like what I do, but it's easy. It's already all there in the deck, and then you just put in other cards for fun.
Yeah, that is true.
The other cards are just for power and fun. So it's like my struggle is right. Like I love tech, and I keep putting so much tech in my decks that I struggle. I have to like work on how to fit in the power in there a lot of times, and if I'm not doing a weird combo thing, but yeah, no, Thanos, all the text like build in, and it's just like you can just take it in any direction.
Yeah.
And I would be playing with that a lot more if Thanos were what everyone else was playing. The hipster in me is just like, nah, it's too mainstream right now.
Yeah.
Let me wait till he gets another nerf. When everyone's like, Thanos is dead, that's when I'm going to pick up Thanos.
Then you'll play it.
Build. That's the way I am. I can't help it.
It's awesome. That's like me with Galactus. I absolutely love my favorite card in the game. We're very close to it. And I play it to the point of where I probably shouldn't because it's not that good. But I just like the card, and I always have ever since I got it. So I'm the same way. I'll just throw decks together and I'll be like, I'm a War Machine. When War Machine came out, I'm like, wow, it'd be really fun to have a Galactus in a deck where War Machine can give you access to the Sanctum, and you could throw Galactus in there on the end of the game and just win. Because he gets in there and no other cards can. So yeah, I think that's awesome. I love that. It's a cool way to play. It's never going to be boring for you because you're just playing the stuff you like. And that's great. I think that's awesome. Give me a couple of cards that are your favorite cards. Like name a couple of the cards that are your favorite cards in the game.
So I already said Nico. Also, Moon Knight is one of my favorites. That's the deck that I kind of built what we were just talking about for, as well as my first homebrew, like that I like was writing to, like I took to my first Infinite. I took a majority of the way. It was also a Moon Knight deck. So I love cards that aren't as well played, but let me think. Who else am I? Valk is kind of a
Valkyrie, very underrated card.
That's what I love. Is those kind of cards. I've been wanting to play with Kitty Pryde is my next project because I have that new variant for her.
Very.
And I can't find a deck. I haven't gotten the right inspiration. I've tried to build a Shuri Kitty a couple times, and I'm just haven't found the fun. Oh, so so if you're coming at deck building from a slightly different angle, from a more memey angle, what you do first is you find a card that you really love for usually the animation of. So like Angel, right? Angel has a beautiful little flying out animation. And I have the Jim Lee Archangel variant.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a gold bundle. Like early on, it was a gold bundle. And I had debated so hard, am I going to spend my hard-earned gold to get this? And when Angel's in it, was still not a played card at the time. And, etc. But I love the Sentinel. I love the Angel. So I picked it up. And the way Angel will just fly and like spiral out from your hand or your deck onto the screen just makes me happy. The same way like Meek The little
Yep.
discard bug will just like fly across the screen. So if you pick a card like that, that makes you so happy. It makes
Yep.
me smile when I see it. It brings me joy.
Yep.
And then I decide that's the card I want to build a deck around because I want to see that animation and I want it to make me happy. And so like my Surfer Angel, which a lot of the list came from, I don't want to take like full on credit here because someone in my chat gave me a lot of this angel list. And then we put Hope once. It was a couple seasons ago. And once Hope came out and we could put Hope in it, the deck came off. Because the problem with Deken, Surfer decks like Deken, Nova, all of that is you're often without that one little energy you need to play out the shard. To play out Nova and get your like, your 3 or your 2-3 costs in the last round or in round 5. And Hope solves that problem in that deck. She gives you that one little extra energy you need for the shard, and it just makes the deck pop. And it's crazy because the deck has so little tech in it. It's all power. It's like Shaw, Deken, stuff to enable that. Okoye, Nakia, stuff to make it all bigger. And once I got Hope in there, like the deck popped, and that's one of my like decks that I've posted that is like blew up, and a lot of people went and got a bunch of infinite tickets. It was really exciting to see because usually my decks are too crazy for people; they don't know how to play them, which I get. So it was really nice to see that one, and it's just like you can do it though. You can get infinite tickets, you can get infinite avatars with decks that aren't meta, and part of that is because your opponent isn't used to playing against whatever you have. They're not used to the right lines against it. They're not used to how you're going to play it. And that's a huge advantage in Snap.
Yeah. You're 100%. I love that. Because too much, when like you were mentioned Thanos earlier, right? When you see a stone or two come down, you know what they're playing. It's too easy to outline that it's going to be a Mockingbird. It's going to be whatever. Other decks you can pick out Destroy. You're going to see the Deadpool. You're going to see the Venom. You're going to see the Carnage. It's all the same. So for the other player, it's easy to recognize what they're playing. So if you're playing something that is not predictable, it's an advantage because you have a one up on them. They don't now know what you're doing. So it's an advantage in this kind of a game. It's a big thing. And it could definitely win your cubes because they're confused and I'm just going to stay in because I don't know what they're doing, but I'm going to beat it. So you're going to coax them to staying in, and they're really not like you were talking about Valkyrie. Valkyrie is such a big surprise card. At the end of the game, people still don't expect that card. I know I don't. I never play for it. And then next thing you know, you get Valkyrie at the end of the game, you lose. And it's just like, yep, I should have known. But yeah, it's 100%. And I think it's a great part of this game. That you're talking about memeing and stuff like that and making decks like that, but I think it's a big part of this game that people don't do, as opposed to like when you're coming from Magic, where Magic has so many cards. I mean, there's sets upon sets upon sets upon sets that you can make decks from. This game doesn't have that, so but it just very much seems like people don't tend to make a lot of their own decks, and I think they're missing out. I really do.
Yeah, but I think it's a benefit too of not like the problem with Magic and having those tons of cards is that they're just filler. There's always like they're just less. They're cards you don't play with because there's a better version of that card. True, and it's just more so it's just like that's what I was saying with like uncommons and commons just being trash. You know what I mean? Cards. It's just like those are just printed garbage.
True. That's true.
And Snap hasn't that we have cards that don't get played, but the hope is they'll be buffed eventually, or you can find a clever way to use it with a new card that it hasn't been used before, but it is going to be unique, And I guess people can argue even in Snap, there's going to be cards that are going to be better than other cards, but they're not the exact, it's like, I think Magic, they're more like clearly defined, just better versions of the cards. And it's not like that in Snap. Every card is just like a buffer, a buff or another card's nerf or another card's buff away from being viable,
Yeah, absolutely. So you're a Marvel fan. I got to talk to you about that and comic books and stuff like that. So What brought you into, obviously, coming into Snap being a Marvel fan? Have you read comics, or did you come
Yes,
in? I know.
for
Awesome.
many years.
Awesome.
I have
I love it.
five giant filing cabinets that
Oh,
are
man.
my height.
I
My height or slightly
dig
taller
it.
that are full of comics.
I dig it.
And one giant bookcase that's full of graphic novels.
Oh, I love
So
it.
I've been reading comics since I was a teenager. But I've
Okay.
been getting a steady weekly pull for the last 7 to 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah. So I've been reading comics for a long time, which is not to say I've read every comic because there are so
Oh,
many.
God. Yeah.
I always say, because people like to point on the X-Men are my weakest area of comics. I keep trying to get into them. They're always involved in like a 50 million crossover event.
Yes,
So
they are.
I have read bits, like I read like when they brought back the young X-Men into the future. I've read various things, but that's my weakest area of Marvel comics.
Yeah, me too. I was never a big X-Men fan. I grew up, and it's not that like I didn't like the characters, because I did. I
Yep.
read books with Wolverine, and I read books with Cyclops, and the biggest X-Men story I can remember reading is the '90s with Fatal Attraction, when they were making all those crazy covers with the silver holograms and all that kind of stuff back then.
Yeah.
And now they're cheap as dirt because they made so many of them. But I remember reading it then. But yeah, I was never big into X-Men either. I read weird. I mean, some people would kind of call them weird books. When I was growing up, well, and I've let this be known, I'm a big Man-Thing fan. I like horror films. So I grew up reading Man-Thing, and I also love like Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange comics in like the 70s and 80s were nuts. They were all kind of colors and very psychedelic images and all this kind of thing. And of course, Spider-Man. I've always been a big Spider-Man fan. So give me Spider-Man comics all day and I'll read them. But what are some of your favorites over the years that you've collected all these? So you're not that much into X-Men, but what are your favorite books? Which ones do you love to read?
So there's a difference between favorite like runs and favorite characters, right?
Yep.
There's some characters I will always get, no matter the quality. Like for X-Men, I'm a huge X-23 fan.
Okay.
I love Laura Kinney, so I've gotten all of her solo titles.
Nice.
For a very long time. I'm a huge let's keep it to Marvel. Let's keep it to Marvel.
It's all good.
But I like just the I'm a huge Batman fan, also Batgirl.
I am as well. Yeah.
So those are titles I'll always, I always get them, whether they're good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say some of my favorite writers that I'll always kind of get, like my favorite right now would be Tom King. I love Tom King, and I recommend, when people ask for like comic recommendations, one of the first things I'll recommend would be the Vision run that Tom King wrote.
Okay.
It's very good. It's about the Vision trying to live in suburbia as a regular person. This is kind of after the trauma with Scarlet Witch, if you didn't know, or the listeners didn't know.
I'm trying to look that up. I think I heard of that, actually.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch and Vision were in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
And Scarlet Witch imagined them up to children that didn't exist, but Vision didn't know that.
Yes.
And so they kind of had this whole traumatic background, and this Vision run takes place kind of after that at some point, and Vision's trying to do his own, I'm gonna have a family and be a normal person. That is it. That's the cover.
Okay.
So that's a great run. I love Tom King. He wrote some of my favorite Batman. And Kieran Gillen is another author I really like. He's been writing Eternals recently for Marvel, a bunch of stuff. I usually pick up stuff just because he's writing it. But let's see, some really good stuff from other runs from Marvel in recent times.
Are you reading a new Spider-Man by any chance?
No, the new Hickman?
Oh God, it's so good.
Oh, I'm mad that I missed it. Okay, here's the story. So,
Oh, man.
Ultimate Spider, the original Ultimate
Yes.
Spider-Man by
Yeah.
Brian Michael Bendis,
Mhm.
was
Oh, I
my
had the
first
whole run.
comic.
Yeah,
That's
was
what
it
got me
really?
into comics. I have the whole
Oh man.
series and graphic novels.
Yeah.
Now.
Yep.
I have the whole run. It was where I would drive out when I was 16, like in my little pigtails or whatever. And no joke, I'd go out to the comic book store and be like, "Are you old enough to be driving out here, young lady?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm 16. Give me my Ultimate Spider-Man."
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
All right,
My
it wasn't
comic.
like that. But yeah. So I loved Ultimate, and when this came out, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know why. I was just worried it wouldn't be the same, and like,
It's so
I don't know.
good.
That's what everyone's saying. And now
Oh
I'm
my
sad.
gosh,
I know I'm sad.
blows me away. It's so good. It's he's older. He's middle aged, so he's like 40 some years
Yeah.
old, and he's married to Mary Jane, and he has 2 kids. And his uncle Ben is actually still alive, which is kind of insane.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, but the story just blew me away. I absolutely loved it. It was so good. But yeah, if you get a chance, check it out. It's
Okay.
I think they're literally on the 4th or 5th printing of it now, because it's sold out, and it's sold out. It sold so many copies. So, but yeah, so good. I love you can even go off on naming odd books, because I have read some really odd books over the years. I'm a big of the Max fan from Image, the big purple dude, and he was on MTV. Loved him. Read that series. I read Spawn from Image. I read a bunch of stuff from Dark Horse. I've been all over the place with all the. Now you like Batman. You had Frank Miller's Batman. You had to read it? Dark Knight.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I've read most of like the biggest. Like.
Yeah.
Hush, like
Hush
all the big old Batman.
Love it.
Greats.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have a favorite book that you go over and over to, besides the Vision ones?
Oh, that I reread. I was reading. So like, a while back on Twitter, I like did a random recommendation train, and I went back to reread those because I was like, I recommended all these. I should. Some of them have been quite a while, so I'll cover those. Because see, I have to say, I have a hard time choosing favorites of anything.
That's
analysis paralysis. So if I can just latch on to something recently I've recommended, I'm gonna go with that instead of trying to like pick a favorite. But from this recommendation chain, 1642.
Yes. Yep. I remember that.
Did I get the date wrong? Is that the right year?
Was it 14? Hold on. I think you're right. I think you're right.
My brain is blanking.
You might be. Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking. The one that took place in the past.
Yes. It's 1642, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, okay. I think
I'm like, right. Don't get this wrong, Bree. Don't get this wrong. Embarrass yourself on a podcast. Okay, but it's back in time. It's set in like Victorian England, and like Nick Fury is
1602. 1602.
There we go. 1602. Where is that coming up with the 40?
I don't know. I was thinking the same thing. I thought you were right. So
1602. All right. Thank you. I felt slightly wrong. Okay. So 1602, and like Nick Fury advises the Queen, and it sets them all back in the past. And it's really Neil Gaiman writes it. Neil Gaiman himself.
Oh my gosh. I got to meet him.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I got a book signed by him right around the time when Sandman was big. But he did a comic for Alice Cooper, actually, the rock singer. He did a comic for one of his albums. That was kind of the story behind the album. And he was signing autographs one day, and I actually got to meet him. He's fantastic. Yeah, he's amazing.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I won't lie. Can I admit, I don't want to ever meet any of my favorite writers.
Really?
I can't. I already have like a lot. It's one reason I started streaming was to work on my social anxieties. But it's just like, I just can't imagine. I couldn't treat, like, if I were to meet Tom King, like, I don't even follow him on Twitter or something, because it's just like, I can't like, I like their works too much. It's like, how do you meet someone like that and treat him like a person? I feel like, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Community.
Yes.
The character Troy gets to meet LeVar Burton, and he can't handle it. He just sits and screams. And I feel like that would be me if I met any of my heroes. I'd just be like, like the
Yeah.
whole time, and someone would have to like pick me up and like carry me out of the room.
It's something else when that happens. A friend of mine, we went to Comic-Con. We actually went to New York Comic-Con once, and it was an experience. But she had a ticket to meet Mark Hamill. She's a big Star Wars fan.
Okay.
So she got in line and stuff like that, got up to where he was and was going to sign the autograph and stuff like that. Well, she was like shaking, like literally shaking when she was in line.
Yes.
And she went over and he had to go over to her and say, "Would you come over here?" And he pulls her over and he gives her this gigantic hug. And she's like, "Oh my God." And so I get it. It's surreal. It really is. Like when you're that close to someone, and like you like their work or you've read things by them or you watch things by them, it's a surreal moment. You're like, "Oh my God, I'm actually talking to this person. This is insane." So yeah, that's 100%. I get you with that. But yeah, it's fun when it happens. I've only ever got to do it a few times at different conventions that I've gone to, but I totally get what you're saying. It's cool though. So, all right. So comics, obviously we got, we talked about the comics. Let's go into the cards a little bit. We'll talk about, I want to go over War Machine with you real quick.
Okay.
So we'll talk about War Machine a little bit. What did you think of War Machine? Did you use him much? And how did he play for you?
I didn't super play him till the weekend missions, to be honest, because I was a really busy week for me, and when I was playing, I think I was playing some of my other decks. So I did play War Machine in a couple different things. The Thanos deck, that was the first time I played Thanos, as well as a deck from Lauren Whatevs, that was with like Black Knight.
The Black Knight one. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. So I bought War Machine with tokens. So
yeah, me too.
Because to me, War Machine, even though I sound unenthused because I haven't played him that much yet, he's a tech card, and so I'm a lover of the tech cards.
Yep.
And this was one that I could have fun with. I feel like maybe it could be something else I could fit into my old Moon Knight, my very first Moon Knight deck. But I think the problem is now, and here's just a general Snap problem for me, and it's definitely a War Machine problem for me, and it's going to be an ongoing problem, is that everyone is playing War Machine now. So it's like the reasons you would play War Machine, so Lockdown isn't going to work for you because everyone else is playing War Machine, and your Lockdown doesn't matter, and that's the way it is with most new Snap cards for me. I have trouble playing them unless I'm so excited. I'm so excited that I will throw myself against mirrors until I'm bored to tears, which will happen. Sometimes I'm excited for a card. Yeah. I will throw myself against the mirrors until I'm bored to tears. But if it's just like War Machine, where it's like, it's fun, but it's not so fun, I want to play mirrors straight for a long time.
Yeah. Yep, and that's what I ran into when I was playing. It got so bad, everybody started playing Goose because they're like, "How am I going to counter this? I'm just going to throw Goose in my deck so they can't play the big cards out when they want to." Yeah, no, you're right, and it did. I got to a point where I'm not a big Tribunal fan, but I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to play something that no one else is playing, and everybody's playing War Machine now. So no, you're 100% right. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it might be best to get the card and hang on until that initial, especially with this card, because this card was almost, I think, as hyped as High Evo. I don't remember anybody talking about a card like they talked about this. Then High Evo came out, so you knew everyone was going to get it. Everybody was going to get this card. So yeah, you're 100% right. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. I don't think that it necessarily lived up to the gigantic amount of hype it gets. It's good. I mean, it's a tech card, like you were saying, and it's good for what it does. It lets you play in, but I think, it made Ebony Maw and Infinite like two of the most popular cards. But I don't know. I think at some point, maybe somewhere down the road, maybe people will find a better home for this than just playing in a deck with Infinite and Ebony Maw. But yeah, I don't know. It was good. It was fun, but like you, I paid tokens for it. I wasn't going to spend cashes for him. But yeah, I was okay, but I don't think it really lived up to the enormous amount of hype it got.
Totally agree. Yeah. I will say what I want to do with it, and I've started and I haven't finished this deck yet. What I really want to do is make a living tribunal deck, I think.
Tribunal,
right? Where somewhere where you just throw in, you just have Giganta, you have all the big power cards, and it doesn't matter where they get played, and you just try and casserole, just super buff up, right? Throw in a Wong, a Black Panther, I don't know, but
yeah. Tribunal's fun. I love the big, humongous numbers it puts out when you get that big combo. You don't see it all the time, but it's fun when you get it. You have 500-600 on every lane. So yeah, I was having some fun with that yesterday playing Conquest. But all right, so we're moving into obviously the end of the season. Tomorrow starts the new one. So for those of you that are getting the season pass, it is, well, let's look at this first. I want to ask you, get your opinion on these. So they snuck these little changes in to some of these cards. This is borrowed, of course, from How Could She Snap, my friends over there that do the podcast. But they did some little changes that they kind of snuck into all these cards. So what do you think of the changes they made? Obviously, Zemo went from a 4 to 5. They're just numbers changes. But Baron Zemo got a buff. Red Hulk got a buff to 11. U.S. Agent got a buff from 2 to 3, and Valentina got a buff from 2 to 3. So, do the buffs they made on the cards here make a lot of difference to you? Is it going to make you want to get them maybe any more than you did before?
I mean, I think it says more about what they think is where I'm interested. Is like, okay, these cards all pulled out weaker than they want. And it doesn't make, I don't know. I was just arguing with one of my friends in my Discord about Red Hulk. They think that's going to be the best card of the season. Like, it's just another big 6. I don't know. I don't know why everyone's so excited. We've got a lot of big 6s. We got Blob. We got, I don't know. So it's just not exciting. It's like I'll just win Prio and play an Elias in that lane, and then they can play Red Hulk there all they want. They can play their big Blob, Red Hulk, whatever they got. Anyway, so I think this shows that they thought all these that makes sense to me. Like U.S. Agent, right? We've had Man Thing as a comparison, and I think Agent being so much cheaper. I think I undervalued him, actually. I was just like ranking these real fast. Yeah. And now I think I put Agent last, and now I think it was all based on Man Thing and how unwieldy Man Thing has been. Yep. And I think Agent will be a lot better than Man Thing, to be honest. Okay. So I think this move to Agent is the one that most excites me. Okay. From all of those. Nice. And Valentina is just, I want to, like, she's the kind of card I love, but I know she's just going to give me Agatha, like, nonstop. Like, I know it, like, from other, like, I played enough Agent 13, like, I'm getting, and this is limited to just 6 cards, so you're going to be pulling an Agatha, like, way more than many of the other cards, I feel like.
There's 3 more. There's 3 cards that you don't want, and 2 of them. Whenever I end up getting random 6s, I will either pull Ultron, which is horrible, especially when you pull him early. I will end up getting Destroyer, which completely destroys my entire board, or I'll get Agatha or something along those lines. So yeah, 100%. The luck of the draw with that, you're gonna get a card, or no. Sometimes I get null, and I don't destroy a single card, so it's literally a 6-0. So I'd actually be happier with an Agatha at that point. But yeah, very, very reliant on RNG and stuff like that. So let's go to the season pass. And I'm going to get your opinion on what you think, like whether or not, because, these things can be a little expensive for people. So I'll get your opinion on Baron Zemo. Now, you were talking about, like, you like to play different decks. this looks like it has the capability of allowing people to play some different decks, or maybe what they call like mill decks, where you can take away cards from your opponent's hand, whether it be with Yondu and him, or some people are thinking Grandmaster and him. Moon Knight, like you were saying earlier, could work to do that. So it's almost like you can strip your opponent of their cards. But what do you think about Zemo as a season pass? And if you to all the people who listen to my show, what's your opinion on it? Are you getting the season pass? Do you like the card? Or do you think he's going to be worth it?
I always get the season pass. First of all, that's like the money. So my spending rules for the game are that I get the season pass and just the base season pass, not the premium.
Yep.
And then very occasionally I will get a bundle if it is $5 or less and I really want the variant. So I have very strict spending rules. So I pretty much treat it like an MMO. Yep. My season pass is my subscription fee.
Yep.
And I have given up, and it's not like $10 or $20 is going to break me as an individual, but I didn't want to get in the habit of not allowing. I had to learn how to let some variants go, because there's always going to be more that are good. One of the hardest times I tilted at the economy, and this is going to sound insane to people who have been like playing this and been on Twitter for the entire time of Snap, right? It's going to sound insane what I'm about to say, but the hardest I've ever tilted at the economy was when the Kitty Pride, the 1602 variant, her little thief robber pirate costume, was in I think it was a $20, or maybe it was even only $10 bundle.
Yeah.
And I wanted that variant so bad, and it went against my spending rules. But things, if I knew if I broke down and bought it, that was the, you know what I mean? Now I would buy every variant that I wanted, and I had to let it go. And I did. And now I have Kitty in the Rain, and that's my favorite variant in the entire game right now. So I think the answer is, it's like you can't get too attached generally. There'll be more variants that you love. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. So Baron Zemo. So yes, I'm already getting it. If you love Surfer, here's a 3-cost card. So you're already looking at that with that eye if you're someone who already loves to play Surfer a lot.
Yep.
And this is going to be a good like Mockingbird card, Shield card. I like it because I think it looks really fun.
Yes.
Because I think it looks really fun, but with the RNG element of it, right? I would say that's always a toss-up. Like, with Gladiator and stuff, it's like, and it's going to be meta dependent, right? In some location. Because if it's like, what if people are playing a bunch of like Selene, and that's really bad for your deck or something? Yeah. So there's going to be metas where this isn't as good as others, depending on what people are playing.
Yeah.
And I would just say it's your personal, it's hard to say like what you value. I would say this is probably not a must. If you're someone that very rarely buys a season pass, to me, this isn't a must-have card. It's not a must-have the way, like, if this were Jeff. If this were Jeff, then you buy the season pass.
Yeah.
Or the way when you see energy cheat cards, because we've just consistently, even if like Ravonna wasn't good originally, maybe it's like energy cheat cards are always going to find a way to be good eventually. Yep. So that's my take. It's really fun. I'm going to get it. Even if I only bought some season passes, I'd still buy this one. If I very rarely bought season passes, I would not consider this a must-have card.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's like you said. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a fun card. It's going to give you it's something different. It's going to give you maybe a different way to play the game. It is definitely very RNG dependent. You can maybe try to control that a little bit. Like I said, if you played Yondu or if you're playing some other cards, if you play along with him and just play it more than once, you could probably mill away their deck. But I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a fair rating to say. We also have coming out, of course, the season pass itself, but in this week as well is Red Hulk, and he will be in the caches this week. So we get our 2 new cards. So Red Hulk, of course, Ree went over him a little bit earlier. He's a 6'11". He's just a big dude, and he's probably going to make his way into Thanos like all the other big dudes do. So I mean, he's a great high evo counter. Absolutely fantastic high evo counter. If high evo's in the meta, he's going to counter that because they are always looking to soak energy all the time. Might be good.
But also, right? I mean, it's not a direct counter. It's a counter in that, so, we haven't said the tax, but it's when your opponent ends a turn with unspent energy plus 4 power if it's in your hand in play. So it's a reverse Hulk, and it's a counter because, High Evil's always skipping energy.
Yes.
But it's not a counter in that, you're not stopping anything they're doing. You're just hopefully getting more power out of it.
Yeah.
So if they can still beat you and then Elias your whole, you know what I mean? It's like, I think people are so like this will kill High Evo. And in some regards, it's like High Evo will probably just play this. Maybe, I don't know. But you know what I mean? It's like, I don't think this will kill High Evo. It's just saying you can get a lot of power. And when you're putting this deck in, and it can get, there's plenty of other times people will skip turns or skip some energy and you'll get a big beefy 6. So it is going to be generally good, but I don't know. As I said, it's just another big beefy 6 to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely it is. I like the character. I don't know if people realize that's General Ross. That's Hulk. So it's kind of cool. And the fact that Harrison Ford is playing him in that Thunderbolts movie is going to be something to see. So that's what we're getting tomorrow. Obviously, this is a little bit of a look at the caches here. So we've got, and these is what Red Hulk, we've got Echo, and we've got Sebastian Shaw. So if you're looking for either one of those cards, I mean, it's not probably, in my opinion, the best set of caches here. Echo, great card. I like her, but she doesn't get used very much. She was being used a lot when Ms. Marvel was big because you could place her in the center lane and destroy a Ms. Marvel deck. Shaw is played strictly in Surfer. And that's pretty much all you ever see him.
But he's almost mandatory to Surfer, I would say. So MODOK, if MODOK's in a spotlight and people are like, well, if you love discard, you need to pick up MODOK.
Yep.
Shaw is almost feels mandatory to play in Surfer anymore because he is.
That's true. So that's what's in the caches. The Red Hulk variant's kind of cool. The Echo variant I like a lot too, and the Shaw variant looks like a portrait on somebody's wall in a presidential palace or something somewhere. But that's what's in the first cache, and of course this comes tomorrow at my time, 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the new season starts. The video is out if you haven't seen it. I know a lot of people are asking about the developer video. That is finally out. It made its way out today. It's a crazy one as usual. There's a bunch of Ben Broads in a room together, and there's a neat little interview with Dan Hipp, which I loved actually. In there. So that was really cool. Got a little interview with discussion with Dan Hipp, so that was neat. All right. Looking quickly to, we're gonna go ahead here a little bit. We're gonna look at next month. So just do an early preview of next month. We're just starting the new one, but hey, we're always looking ahead at things. And this is some of the cards we have that have been data mined. Now, of course, these are subject to change, as we saw. The ones that we're getting this month already changed. So some of these look kind of cool. We've got Sasquatch, we've got Namora, we have Sage, we have Blink, and we have Nocturne. So some of these characters, Nocturne, I was watching another person's stream, I don't remember who it was, and talking about Nocturne, and they're like, oh, it kind of has the powers of Nightcrawler, and then they're like, yeah, that's Nightcrawler's daughter. And they're like, oh, I had no idea. But the data mine cards obviously are what they are. Kind of cool. So, they can change at any real time. Any of the cards that you see on the list here that really have you interested that you'd really want to play?
Man, there's all of them are pretty good and for different reasons. Nocturne, I love because I love location scamming. Yes. I love Legion. I love Snow Guard. And Nocturne is one of those that goes in Surfer. Yeah. Nocturne is your Legion scamming that goes in Surfer. I mean, Snow Guard could as well because they're the 3 costs. But which just leads you to think, it's like, is there something there with Surfer and Snow Guard and Nocturne? And maybe that's too crazy. But anyway, so that's why I love Nocturne. Blink is just more like, fun, like pixie madness.
Yes. Yeah.
So Sage, I won't lie, some of it's just the character design and the art. I love a tech girl. I love a tech girl. I love Entrapped and She-Ra. I love Ed and Cowboy Bebop. I'm a big tech girl fan. Look at that Sage.
No, I know, it's
That's
awesome.
a pure tech girl right there.
Yes.
And it's a very like Miss Marvel-y like kind of effect. I mean, obviously with an on reveal, but like that just seems like a fun. And here's what I love best about Sage: she goes with Ravonna, and I love Ravonna. Every deck I build, at some point, I put a little Ravonna package in just to see how it feels. Every single deck I make anymore eventually gets a little Ravonna package slotted in to see if it works. And Sage is another Ravonna. I pick up cards solely because they work with Ravonna out of spotlights and stuff. And then Nomura is my number one like meme card here that I want to play with. Right? It's gonna be hard because the problem with things like with Orca and Nomura and stuff is they're so susceptible to Shang and everything. They're so hard to put out in a way that doesn't make them easy to counter, right?
Yes.
That's very difficult with those cards. But look at Nomura. Don't you just want to meme with her into an Atlantean deck so hard? That's all I want to do.
Orca, Namor, there you go.
So I would say, and Sasquatch is another kind of like Mockingbird card that seems real fun. But my top three have to be Nomura, Sage, and Nocturne. Because I already am like, here's the decks I want to build with them. Here's what I want to do.
Yeah, I like the Atlantean theme thing. I think that's cool. Can you imagine, like I said, they all do things by themselves anyway. Namor works the same way. Orca works the same way. So you have them all down. I don't know, maybe play a Kyera so you can't get your stuff blown up.
I thought about that. It doesn't fix Namor. It just saves Orca.
Yep. Yeah. That's true. But yeah, these look interesting. I mean, Nocturne looks fun. Like you were saying about location manipulation, that's becoming more and more popular. I mean, with cards like Quake, just moving the locations around a little bit, it's so much better to play with. Legion, of course, is always a blast. No one ever seems to expect it now. It's not being played a lot anymore. But locations is, listen, that's a huge part of the game. When you can get rid of locations or do things to locations, it messes up your opponent. It just does. Blink looks fun with her on reveal as well. But again, like you were saying, it's very orangey-ish. And Sasquatch, another big dude. Just another big guy. But yeah, these cards look fun. They look like they're going to be, looks like it's going to be a fun season. And these are going to be fun for us next month too. Yeah, very cool. Awesome. All right. So, what was, and I wanted to ask you this, and I'll just backtrack a little bit because I think you mentioned this a bit earlier and how much fun the new player experience was for you. I want to talk about I want you to talk about that a little bit because I think people kind of forget that have been playing for a while how much fun that necessarily was. But I also want you to talk a little bit about, because I've asked everybody who's come on here just to get their opinion, but talk a little bit about the economy of the game in the way of how hard do you think it is for someone that is just picking up this game that wants to play it at a competitive level at some point? How hard do you think that is? I know the biggest answer I get from everybody is that Series 3 is just so immensely big. Maybe do something to change that to let them get out of that a little bit faster so they can be a little more competitive. But I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
I agree. I mean, this is something like my friends and I've discussed a lot because we all recognize it as a problem that like pretty much just that Series 3 is too big is kind of the problem, right? And, like a card, like I believe Mystique is Series 3, right? So cards like that are like a little more, if you want to have a base toolkit to be able to build decks from, because I fully like the idea that you need to have every card in the game, or that you even need to build like the majority of meta decks or whatever to do well competitively, I think is silly, because there is such a big advantage from playing a really off deck that people aren't used to. I haven't gotten to watch for a long time, but I remember watching some of the older tournaments that were newer, and it's like just from someone bringing something off meta that people weren't used to playing against is such a huge advantage. So I want to fight back a little against the idea that like, because if you're a good gamer, you can also build good decks.
Yeah.
You can play competitively. I win all the time with my meme decks, with my meme cards. And there's RNG in there, and sure, a meta deck will, get you farther. But back to the problem of Series 3 being too big. So yeah, maybe the easiest solution is they just rope it off into 2 parts, or add a Series 7 and move things in. And all the cards that are a little more important to someone to have a toolbox to build a variety of decks from, cards like Mystique, like Cornerstone cards that are useful in a lot of different decks, like those, you just get those, early, or you get them on a more nuanced, even if it was like, hey, those are a special subset of Series 3, and every third card you get is going to be from that pool instead. You know what I mean? Just to keep you just so that it's like, hey, my very last card in Series 3 was Sarah, kind of thing. And I guess she's not as meta as she was when we would say this back in the day, when people would be like, Sarah was like my second to last Series 3 card. But it is a problem, and it does need to be addressed, because a lot of people get it more casually, like I did, and I didn't start getting into the meta of the game until I was like, I don't know, maybe partway into Series 3, at least a quarter of the way in, maybe is when I started like getting into the bigger community and looking at YouTube and like doing more than just playing the game a lot. So if someone wants to come in like now and do it, you'd have to drop a ton of money to get the cards to play competitively really fast. And the problem is Snap wasn't built for that. It was built to be a fun experience for someone not competitively, someone a little more casually to onboard, because it's so fun to be getting like 2 or 3 new cards a week, and you just get to cycle those in and try new decks. And that's so fun to even someone who just loved card games, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a new card game. It's not a casual necessarily player, but someone who hadn't gotten into the bigger meta yet. That was super fun. But for someone who like is coming in, like say who wants to be a streamer and make content creations, like I need to get in and I need to get like a good chunk of the cards, it's not built for that. And that's going to be a problem for them. Especially with people coming back to the game after dropping it for a while, where they feel like I'm now part of this bigger meta. Like, I know it's there. I can't go back to have fun the way I was getting cards in Series 2, just getting them casually. I know that what all the cards are now, and I want them, and I just can't have them all, and I'm missing them so much. And now I feel like I can't play any decks I want to pull from the net, any of the top fun decks I'm seeing on any of the sites or in Tapped or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure you see it in your streams and stuff too. A lot of people will ask, one of the most asked questions you see from people that come out to the streamers a lot of times is, what can I replace such and such a card with? Because I don't have it. For the longest time it was Jeff. What do I replace Jeff with? Well, there's nothing you can replace him with. A Nightcrawler, but he's not going to do the same thing. But I can imagine. I've watched enough streams to see that. Where a lot of people ask that question, and those are probably players that either just started the game and they don't get these cards unless they're in a cache, or even that. So I love it. I do agree with everybody who talks about that. I'm not sure how to fix it. I think when Lauren was on my show, she mentioned, I don't know, maybe give them more cards faster, instead of having them get one every, 4, get one every 2 or something like that, and just try to speed up the process for Series 3 and stuff like that. So you mentioned earlier, you're not as big of a Conquest person. I actually love Conquest now, but I'm not really an Infinite guy.
I am now, as of the last 2 months. But before that, it was like pure ladder. I only did Conquest mostly to get my the variant,
the rewards and stuff.
Variant.
I just like Conquest because there's not as much. There's still RNG involved, but you kind of tend to outweigh that. If you have a game or two that you're going to get this, you're going to get messed up by locations or something or other, you can still kind of make up for it as the game goes by.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've been down like 4-0, and then I make a comeback and end up winning in Conquest. But how do you do in ladder? Are you do you get to infinite every month?
Yeah.
Nice.
Since I first got, and I think it was just like, I first got to infinite the Guardians of the Galaxy month with the tape card back.
Yep.
Such a sweet deck back. So that I got it. And I was real close. So what was funny was the month before that, a lot of it was just like my lack of confidence. I didn't think it was good enough. And so I never really tried. I just memed around. Like once I got to the 70s or whatever, I just like was deck building on ladder and stuff, just not taking it seriously. And then the month before Guardian season, like the last day of the season, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna make a serious try at infinite. Why not? I'm probably good enough. And so I did, and I was 99 needing to win one game. I was 99 needing to win one game when the season reset, when the time passed, because I waited too long to make my push. And I just ran out of time. Like I was going it. And I was so upset. I was just so, because I think that was the card back with like a goose, like Cthulhu Goose is what I call it.
Yes,
because it
looks very, out of his mouth. It
was very Cthulhu to me. And I wanted that card back, even though I think it almost looks better with the dark instead of the gold.
Yep.
And it was really disappointing to me. But then I got infinite, like, pretty fast. Like, I don't remember how fast I got it, but it was just like, oh, the next season, it wasn't a thing. I just like, I actually tried instead of like fooling around, and I got it then. And I've gotten it every season since. And the last 2 seasons I got it day one, just because some people do it as a challenge, and I wanted to. So
yeah. I am right there with you on the 99 syndrome. That hit me hard, and I have not recovered. I got to 99 once. And this was when, oh my God, I don't even remember what month it was in or what border it was, but I was playing Galactus when Galactus was still good. This before they nerfed him to what he is now. So he was like 6. It wasn't the 6'7". It was a 6'5".
6'5", yeah.
Yeah. So
I remember kneeling to a 6'5".
I got all the way up to 99, and I remember I'm sitting. I end up playing this game a lot late night, which I should not do.
Yes.
Because a lot of times I'm very tired, and it's like I should never do that. And I'm sitting there, and I get to 99. That's the only way
I play the game.
Yeah. Same way. I'm up playing at like 1, 2 in the morning, and I'm like, you shouldn't be doing this. But I get to 99, and I'm like, all right, here we go. This is a card game, for God's sake, and I'm literally nervous. I'm here shaking, like my hand is like just sweaty. I'm thinking, all right, here we go, and I'm gonna play. Of course, I lost. So then I think I lost 2 cubes. So I went down to 97. I went down like I dropped to 97, but I at that point I should have stopped, and I've been like, all right, enough, put it down. I didn't. I'm like, I'm winning this. I'm doing this tonight. I'm going to go. I ended up falling all the way back to like 83 before I was done. Oh my God. You want to talk about till I was so mad. I couldn't win a game. Not one match. I could not win, and it was the worst. And I've been in the 90s since, but I've never gotten back up that far. So I love hearing from other people because especially like you said, when you get up to that point, you're like so nervous to get when you get there, it's crazy. And I've gotten a lot of great advice from a lot of people, over these last several months that I've been talking to, not only here, but of course on the socials and everything like that. But so I want to hear some from you. So you're day one infinite. How, from your standpoint of it, how often do you play to hit that? Now, if you're day one infinite, you're starting from where you start from what, 70, right?
Yeah.
When you start the new season? Okay. So you're starting from 70. So just on average, how long does it take you to play to hit it?
It if I'm playing on stream or not.
Okay.
Because I play really bad Snap on stream. I still have a lot of anxiety.
Yep.
I'm often playing late at night, which is already not like my best time for playing.
Yep.
So on stream, it took me like all night. On stream, it took me all night to get there. If I'm playing just me, it probably still take me like 6 to 8 hours.
Okay.
Like probably, right? I'm guessing.
Yep.
Like, because I did it all on stream this time, which is why it took forever. And then the day before I started on stream and then stopped and finished. So, and it was still like a decent number of hours. So it's still like if I'm going to day one infinite, like I'm not like I've taken the day off to do that, or the time after the season reset to get it done. It's not like something I'm doing in 4 hours, so it does take a lot of time. If I'm playing casually, so before I was doing day one infinites, I was getting there like once I got there the day after, or within 2 days, but pretty much always by the weekend, by the time I can like have a little bit more time to play more than missions,
Okay. Yeah.
And part of that is just, it's like, because I sometimes it takes me a bit of practice at the start of the season, because if I've been memeing too long, because after I get infinite, I don't care about my rank, and I just want to brew decks, right? And you will tank ranks. Like, don't brew while you're climbing to infinite, unless you're already someone that just that can just go to infinite. Like if you're not someone that's just already that great at it. So if you're climbing to infinite, you want to stick with one deck as much as possible. Yeah. And you can swap out cards from that. So you want a deck that you're comfortable with, because the most important thing is that you know when to snap and retreat with your deck, right? Yep. And sometimes knowing when to retreat is about knowing the other decks in the meta, but you need to know your deck really well, and you need to know when this is looking really good for you, and it's probably a good snap, because if you're bad at retreating and you're not good at snapping early, that makes it really hard to climb to infinite, because you're just losing cubes and you're not getting them when you should be. Yeah. So one is to play the same deck, not be afraid to swap a single card out every now and then to face your meta, right? If you're facing a lot of, sometimes Shang is the right choice, but sometimes maybe Super Scroll is, you know what I mean? Like, kind of stuff. Those are the kind of swaps I'm talking about. Or just, it's like, if you think something will just be a little better, but you don't want to swap out too many cards at once. So stick with the same deck. Don't be afraid to swap a card or two out based on your meta. You don't want to be, some people, I want to say most people don't retreat enough. Some people are too overzealous with their retreating. Like, I was guesting on Lil Robitussin, who's another streamer's stream a while ago, and I brought a Howard deck. I brought a ridiculous Howard deck. Nice. For it, which was a Howard tribute deck. Because the thing was, I wanted to do is make sure that Howard was useful in the deck. That you needed Howard to see what that Iron Lad was going to hit. Yep. So I made a Living Tribunal deck, and there was one where I was talking, and he's like, okay, I'm just going to retreat here, right? We just lose. I'm like, how are you retreating? They haven't even snapped yet. How are you retreating? And I get the point of some people where it's like, I have a limited amount of time to play. Yeah. I'm not, I'm going to retreat here because I'm not going to win, but like, there's a Sinister London on the board. That was going to do some good things for us, and we won. I said, don't retreat, we won. And if it had been up to them, we would have just retreated. So I know the number one advice people often give is that, and that's usually at turn 5, right? Turn 5 is usually when people have trouble retreating when they should. Right? But don't retreat too early, just because, especially if they haven't snapped. If they haven't snapped, don't. So that's another piece of climbing to infinite. Learn to recognize bots and steal all the cubes from the bots that you can.
Oh, And
I don't get as tricky. Some people get full on into strategy of how to maximize it, and I don't. I just win the games and snap and move on. But they fool me sometimes because I'm like, what? I get so psyched out. I'm like, this is insane. What are they doing? This is either the cleverest thing I've ever seen. And then I realized, like, oh, it's just a bot. I got fooled by a bot and they're not doing anything smart.
Yep. Yeah, bots will play weird cards, I've always noticed. They'll play like an Uatu, or they'll play like an M'Baku, or most of the time when I see them, they play every card in one lane. They'll go for the one single lane, put 4 cards in it, regardless of how stupid it is to do.
Yep, they're trying to win one lane. And then also, the random splits. So there are ways to recognize bots. Yeah. And they are almost always free cubes because they just don't play smart. I mean, you can lose to bad RNG. But there's that. And then if you start getting on a losing, like you were talking about with your experience, you already know. And here's why you have to stop. It's because the more cubes lose, the more you feel like you have to make up those cubes.
Yes,
the more you feel like 100%. You have to make up those cubes by snapping harder, by staying in more games. And that just leads you to lose more and more cubes. So you have to reset yourself at least. You have to at least take a small break, like to reset so you're not chasing. Because it's the poker thing, right? All the poker advice is good for Marvel Snap. Don't just because you snapped doesn't mean you can't retreat if the situation changes. Don't chase a losing, like just because you bet, like sometimes you still gotta fold. Because if you keep going all in, then you're out of the game. Then you're out of the game. So you got to think of Marvel Snap like poker, and that like you should snap early when it makes sense to snap early. That's how you get cubes to offset your losses. That's how you get 2 cubes instead of 1 cube when you were obviously going to win because you recognized it before they recognized it, and now you got 2 cubes instead of 1. Right now you got 4 cubes instead of 2 cubes. And especially when you can't snap turn 5. Think of all the times you can't snap turn 5 because then they'll retreat, because then they'll know you have it. But if you snapped early, they don't know because you're not snapping them on turn 5. Yeah. So, so that, and then you got to retreat. You can't stay to see games where they're likely to have the card. When you're like, Eliath beats me here. This is a deck that is likely to have Eliath based on the other things I've seen in it. The likelihood is they do have it. And sure, there's some where they won't, and you'll win those cubes, but you'll probably lose more because in this game, in Marvel Snap, in a 12-card deck of 6 turns where you see a lot of cards in the deck, the odds are they probably have it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're 100% right. I can't tell you how many games I stuck around in Hella. When I knew. I'm like, all right, I could win this, but only if they don't have Hella. Well, that's not going to happen very often. More than likely, they're going to have the Hella, and you're going to lose. Right. So, 100%. Yeah. But don't assume it, because I've beat Hella with my Surfer Angel outpowering. I've outpowered Hella, a full-on Hella with Infinite and everything with my Angel Surfer before. You can also like, if you get real tricky and you got Valk, if you lose the prio and you pick 2 lanes, right? And so don't just, so on the flip side of that, where you assume they have the card, don't assume you lose because they have the card. Make sure you've thought through it, your options. Like, absolutely. I don't know how many, I have Valked so many I have Valked so many Hobgoblin, Green Goblin Galactuses. I have stuck in it's the most predictable play ever. I just get Prio before the Galactus comes. I throw down the Valk, and Valk hits, and that Hobgoblin's now a 3. The Green Goblin's now a 3, and I've now beaten their Galactus. I've had it done to me several times. Yep, that's a card that'll destroy. People are starting to do that with Cannonball now with Galactus. Oh my god! Oh, what fun! Okay, this has made me way more excited. I do have Cannonball because I needed the Kitty variant, I think, and now it's like I do love destroying Galactus. I've been cannonballed by a deck on the last turn. I thought I had him. I had a goblin in there. I think that the -3 goblin in there. He had like another card that was very small, and then he put a card down. I Galactused him, and he cannonballed my Galactus, and he won the game. I'm like, that's not fair.
Oh man, but yeah,
that's fun. I'm glad you suggested that to me.
yeah,
Like, all right, there we go.
Cannonball is actually a decently fun card. I found him to be a little more useful for destroying stuff than moving it. A lot of times when he moved the card, I would end up losing because he just push a better card over to another lane that they'd win anyway.
Yeah.
But when so many people are playing, I'm going to fill the lane on you, especially if they're playing like Annihilus or they're playing like some kind of junk thing or something, and then you blow up there. Like, let's say they have all their lanes filled and Annihilus can't move, and then you blow that Annihilus up with Cannonball at the end, you win that lane. So he seems to me to be a little better when people are filling lanes, which a lot of that tends to happen now. A lot of people fill lanes a lot now in a lot of their decks. So yeah,
I agree. Yeah, it's about what in Thanos, right? Being so big.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. All right, so we've come to the part of the show where we're gonna. I told Ree before this, I kind of forgot about this game that I did, but we're gonna play a little game. This is called, and those of you who have listened to my show before, I think I had a couple of 2 or 3 episodes that had this. We're gonna play Guess the Pixel. Pixels get no love and no respect, and some of them are amazing, some not so much. But Ree is going to play.
The Moon Knight one is beautiful.
Yeah. Some of them are really nice. I love the Jubilee. The Jubilee is literally
all of Jubilees are like Jubilee has a no bad variance.
Oh my gosh. Jubilee's pixel is freaking amazing. When I got that, I'm like, this is a beautiful. It's like you're looking at an old RPG game from like the 90s or that. Yeah, it's so.
This is good like that too, right?
Yes,
this is a really good pixel.
Yeah. Some of them are awesome. So I'm gonna give you a little clip of a pixel card, and then I'm gonna have you see if you can guess which card it is. So we're gonna start with. Let me get up to my slides here. I'm going to start with this one. All right. I'm going to describe this to the audio people. So this is very gray, blacks and grays in the middle, and got a little bit of brown up toward the top on the left-hand side, a little bit of what looks like flesh color in the middle, as well with the grays, and something in the middle that may be a belt buckle. It kind of looks like it could be a belt buckle. It's got a square, and it's around the black part. So what do you got, Ree? What do you think it is?
I think it's a cape there. They're wearing a white outfit. My initial gut reaction was Storm. I don't know if that's right, but I feel like I have to go with it. It's probably wrong.
Okay, let's see what it is.
It's Absorbing Man.
Absorbing Man.
I hate this pixel. That's hilarious. Because my friends love to post their like insane splits of it, and I'm just like, this is wrong. This is an abomination. Of course, it's Absorbing Man.
He's got the jail pants on there. With the, he looks like he's just in fact, I think there's a jail behind him, and he's got the ball and chain, so he looks like he's doing some time here. And of course, he's absorbing the chain on the right side, so you see all the muscles, and there's some gray there. But yeah, the face doesn't do much for me.
It's not. It's one of those like it's so ugly people love it. I'm not one of those people, but
it is. He's got a face that only a mom could love. But yeah, I'm not enthused with that one. I love the. I'm like I said, big fan of Galactus, but the Galactus one has a face similar to his. It looked like he got punched in the mouth on the side of his face, or I would like the Galactus a lot more. All right, let me go down to this next one. This one.
Oh, this one's Storm.
Oh, you got it right off the bat.
Because I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, how did I think the last one was Storm?
You got it right off the bat. It is Storm.
The lightning helped.
Yeah, I like storms, actually. I don't mind it. You got lightning on either side, and of course, lightning on the side coming down from the other lightning, and the bolts that are in her hands, the long flowing white hair. She's got the cape and the little X, of course, in the middle. So couldn't give you the X. It would have been way too easy, but there you go. Yeah, you
perhaps I'm just a pixel oracle. I just knew it was coming next.
All right, we're gonna go to number 3. Here we go.
Oh, this is Star-Lord.
Oh my God!
I'm supposed to let you describe it first.
Right off the bat again. She got it right off the bat again. It is Star-Lord. We go back to the picture here, and yes, it was. You had the jeans on the bottom, or looked like blue jeans. The red, of course, in the jacket, little bandolier going across, and a belt as well. And nailed it. It is absolutely Star-Lord. There you see with the guns and the flowing locks of hair and the jetpack underneath. So yes, that absolutely is Star-Lord. Nice. You're 2 for 3. You're doing all right here. You're doing good. All right, so we got the next one. Next, we got some silver here. We got some reds on the left side. I don't know. It kind of maybe looks like it's, is it an eye? Is it not an eye? Kind of looks like it maybe could be. You got some blue in the background. I don't know, maybe some stars. It might look like a little bit of a blue sky with some stars back there. So what are you thinking on this one, Ree?
All right, I'm torn between if it's Sif or Omega Red, but I think it's Omega Red.
Omega Red. Oh, you nailed it! You nailed it. It is Omega Red. I just got this one. Actually, not that one.
It's good, actually, right? I've seen it before, but I forgot. Like, it's not bad.
Yeah, it is a pretty good one. You got the tentacles on both sides coming out of the hands, and his red hand and the red shoulder pads, and again the long blonde hair. He's even got a little bandana going on up there at the top. So yeah, this is a pretty good one. I don't mind it. It's a pretty good pixel actually. So you're doing very well here. You're doing very well. I think we only have one more for you. Okay. So let's see. We got some grays, which look like, I don't know, it looked like gray lines in the back going up and down. We got some silvers up toward the top and on the bottom right. And of course, you can see my card border because I took a lousy picture. So it's a purple card border. But yeah, so you got a little bit of gray on top. I don't know, it looks like rings. And then, of course, you got the bottom. So it looks a little bit like maybe an arm, maybe a leg there. So what are you thinking?
I think so. My initial thing was Destroyer Ultron. I think I'm gonna guess Ultron.
You guessed it again. Ree, you nailed it. You got 4 out of 5. Ree got 4 out of 5. It is
and I missed the Sorting Man of all things. I know that pixel too. I have seen it so much.
She got 4 out of 5. You did extremely well. This is definitely Ultron. You can see he's got the red mouth, of course, up at the top. This isn't a bad one either. He looks kind of like Ultron, I guess. Got the bionic legs on the bottom and the hands and stuff like that, and all the robotic parts in the middle. So not bad. Not a bad.
It was the leg that gave it away as Ultron because I can visualize the Pixel Destroyer right now, and it's got the face, but it's got those kind of ringy arms again. But I'm like, that's not a Destroyer leg. It's an Ultron leg.
You absolutely nailed it. 4 out of 5. Ree kills the pixel game. That's awesome. I
have to tell my friend Andy. We fight about pixels all the time.
You are the pixel champion. Speaking of which, I think there's a new Pixel album that actually came out today. So
it did, yes.
Yeah, another album where you can collect on for pixels. I think I had I think I had 7 of them. 7 out of the 12.
It's the leader, right? That's the emote.
Yes, you get the Pixel
leader. Yes. You can toxic emote people with the Thinky leader.
Are you a toxic emoter?
No, I actually just recently I rarely I'm trying to get more into emotes, especially if I'm playing friends or whatever. But I've been a fist bumper mostly only.
Me too. Yeah,
and especially of late, I've not never done one, but it's been months since I think I've done a long time since I've done a toxic mode. I used to mute people at the start of every match. At the start of every match, everywhere, I muted right away, and I actually stopped doing that. I stopped doing it.
Yeah, I will do it if somebody is really doing it a lot to me. Like if you start a match and they're hitting you with all that, not the fist bump. The fist bump's fine. But if they're hitting you with every single emote under the sun, I'd do the same thing. I'm like, yep, no, I'm just muting him because that's ridiculous. But I want the Galactus one, the emote. I don't know when he's going to come out or what they're going to do with him, but and all he does is say okay, which is kind of boring. But yeah, I still want it.
I need the Moon Knight one. My deck name for Moon Knight is based on a meme, the Moon Knight meme, and they have that image as an emote. So I need, but it's the Jim Casinto. And that's gonna be hard for me to get all of. But no, my emote. So what I do now with emotes, I used to really get under my skin, I guess, because I just used to I was not on social media at all for many years before the Snap community. I
Yeah.
just wasn't used to. I was just like couldn't handle any toxicity. But now what I do is like I have a bit. If people like are toxic or spamming me on when I'm playing on stream, I just have a little bit to it where I just let it go the whole game, and then at the very end, I just do one little fist bump emote, and I say, "Hey, let me show you what class looks like."
Yeah, there you go.
Just so you can see it the once.
And
that's my bit on stream, but part of it honestly is too just this like bizarre hope that if it's just someone having a bad day, and if you can just show them a little bit of kindness, because what's happened, so I've started off stream as well. I used to, when I first started, I'm like, I won't do it on stream. But when I was off stream, I'm like, this is re-snap time. I'm muting everyone, so I don't have to put up with it. But I stopped doing that too. And I started doing my same thing. If they spam me or whatever, I just do my single emote at the end. And sometimes someone would Miss Marvel me or like something. And I just do like, hey, fist bump, good game. And then there'd be a pause, and then there'd be a fist bump back. And it's like, there's someone that was having a bad day, and now they feel bad. And maybe in the future they'll be a little kinder to someone else. You know, that's my stupid, false, optimistic hope that my stupid, nice emoting could butterfly affect some sort of small kindness into the world.
That's fantastic. Hey, you never know. You never know. You know, the socials can be a nasty place sometimes, and some, hey, if you're trying to solve somebody's bad day a little bit at a time, that's awesome. I absolutely love that. So, that's I'm very similar way. If I see somebody being nasty, most of the time I'll just mute them. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes, hey, a kill them with kindness isn't bad either. So there you go. I love that. Awesome. Well, listen, Ree, it has been a blast. I really enjoyed you coming out and being on the show. So before we head out tonight, I want you to, and I'll put your socials up, tell everybody where they can catch your streams, where they can see you and subscribe to and all that good stuff. So let everybody know where they can find you.
Sure. So you see up here, this is my Twitch. It's what I've had up on screen the whole time. It's _Ree. I'm also on Twitter by the same handle. And those are the places that you can really find me. I'm mostly just like I hang out in my own Discord that my viewers talked me into making, as well as a couple other Discords. Not as much. It got to be a lot, but Twitch and my streams generally start. I kind of do random streams during the day sometimes when I have time, but I mostly stream at night, starting around like 9 or 10, or sometimes a little earlier. And like I said, I'm mostly playing like off meta stuff. Still trying to win with it. It's never a complete meme usually, you know. I still try to build decks that are viable. And we just have a good time. As a lot of the people in my stream, we like to call ourselves olds. We kind of have the same era of like things where we've seen a lot of the cartoons and stuff, and we just get to hang and like get each other's references. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well,
kind of a clubhouse.
That's awesome. Well, there you go. Make sure you check her out. Of course, she is on Twitch. I dig the whole late night streaming. That's right up my alley. That's the time of the night that I'm up to. So that's awesome. So yeah, check out Ree, of course. I hope you guys had an awesome time listening to the show. Again, make sure you check out her channel. And I will be back with another episode of Snap Decisions. I will have the audio pod out tomorrow. This will be on my YouTube channel. If you have not done so, please head over there, subscribe to the channel, and like the video as well. The audio pod will be out tomorrow as well for the new season. And I have another guest this week. Ben Roller actually is coming on my show as well. Yeah, he's doing really well in that Snap Judge Leagues tournament. So I got to talk to him about that and see how he did. And then some guests coming up down the road. So again, Ree, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your night, guys. This is the Snap DJ signing off. Have a good one. Have a great one. And please stay safe and be kind to one another. And I'll talk to you all really soon.